Okay, today I'm going to review the Huawei Matebook, and this, my friends, is Huawei's first attempt in creating a tablet/Windows convertible. How well it worked out, we will see in this review, but before I'm actually going to talk about this device itself, I want to talk about anything else besides that's available, because I think sooner or later you will need some of the available accessories, so let's just check those. Of course, we have the portfolio keyboard. You will definitely need that, but that one comes in the box, same as for the Stylus, because you can just quickly attach that one with the magnet, and you can see it doesn't even work the other way around because of the magnet. I'm still not quite so sure if that's the most secure solution, because I think all the magnets used in this device are a little bit too weak, and the next available optional accessory would be the Mate dock. And you will definitely need that one at some point to get more ports, because we only have one. One odd thing about this dock or pouch here is that it looks like you could just store the pen in here to have it more secure, but for some reason then I just didn't manage to properly close it up. It does work, but the magnets, as I said, just aren't strong enough, and it, as you can see here, opens way too easy. So next time, please use stronger magnets. In here, you will have a place for storing a cable and also something else, but I'm actually not quite sure what was in there. About the dock, we get an additional USB Type-C port, because you will definitely need that if you want to charge your device and actually use the dock. Two USB 3.0 ports, gigabit Ethernet, and on the other side we have VGA if you still need that, and the full-size HDMI slot. So you will definitely need that at some point. It costed around 100 euros. Of course, there are other available adapters like this one, but that's the one that comes in the box, and let's just put that in. I will talk about the Stylus a little bit later. Now, let's talk about this a little bit infamous keyboard dock. First of all, I want to cover the angles, and I'm sorry that I have to show it like this because it just doesn't work out from the camera from another angle. Okay, this is angle number one. As you can see, it's not quite down there, but you can just push it down, and then we have this other angle. There is a third angle available, but I don't think that's actually official, because it works like this, but it's just not as secure, because as you can see, and this is just not the most secure stand in general, because so many times when I had it, for example, like this, just wanted to push it a little bit away, it loses, and then because every time it does this, usually also the magnet makes it turn off, which for some reason didn't happen now, which is actually good, but I'm just not the biggest fan of that whole mechanism. It's just too loose, and next time please use a little bit stronger magnets, because as you can see I have even trouble now doing this. But now let's talk about this keyboard. First of all, my main complaint is it's not a chiclet keyboard. I just can't really get used to that, because the buttons are a little bit wobbly. In terms of key travel, absolutely fine, because we have lots and lots of that, but as you can also see, it lifts the keyboard up because of this mechanism. It's just not flat, and you have a lot of flex, and the buttons already wobble a little bit. Other than that, the feedback is fine. It's a quiet keyboard. It has backlight, even though it's not that smart, because we have bright buttons, and if you have then a bright backlight, it makes it even harder to see at night. So yeah, we have a nice color maybe for some people, but it comes with the trade-off of having a harder time actually seeing the backlight. But other than that, the keyboard is fine. I didn't get really used to it. I didn't really find it to be all that comfortable, especially on your lap, because these two angles are absolutely nice on a desk. They work out absolutely fine. On a lap, it was just not the right angle, and it wasn't secure enough. Trackpad, absolutely fine, precise, works out. One thing that I've noticed though, if you will see that, if you don't have it on a flat surface, this, by just flexing, actually, as you can see on the display, makes the buttons press. So if you just have it on one side, this will press. So they should think about that a little bit more the next time. But okay, let's get that out of the way and talk about the tablet itself, because that's the main attraction here after all. Turn off the screen. So 640 grams, which is definitely very, very lightweight, and it feels super premium. Nice curves all around, nice beveled edges. Feels super premium, feels lightweight. The bezels are almost a little bit too small in my opinion, because you don't have enough space to properly hold on to, but that will work out. And I actually have to say, a 12.5-inch tablet I don't use so much in my hand, at least personally, that's what I think. Here we have the camera. On the right side we have the volume rocker. I really like that one because it's easy to find and it works out really nice. Tactile feedback is absolutely great. Here we have the only proper port, the USB Type-C, and this looks actually like a IR blaster. I'm not quite sure what it actually is. Here on the top we have the power button. the two speakers, I will talk about them later, a microphone, on the left side a microphone as well, and on the bottom we have the docking mechanism. As you can see, it's super thin, definitely compact, definitely lightweight. In terms of design, just off the tablet, I don't think they could do anything better. It feels amazing, looks amazing, absolutely great job. Now, let's talk about the display camera, and I will use this to make it a little bit easier. Let me zoom in a little bit. So, we have a display, it's high res. I don't actually know the resolution properly. We can quickly check it once again. And I actually have it here, 2160 by 1440 IPS. Okay, that would be good enough to know that, because this is a little bit of an odd resolution, but it's used a little bit more often these days. I definitely like it for some reason. It is super sharp, but it doesn't really introduce any problems with scaling. It still works out quite nice on 12.5 inch. So resolution is absolutely fine. White point, absolutely great. I think still, if anyone knows how to properly calibrate a display, then it is Huawei. Same goes for the black, very uniform. There is no light bleed, great blacks, and the color absolutely amazing because they are so vibrant and vivid, but not oversaturated or unnatural or inaccurate. I absolutely love that display. It's really a gorgeous display. It looks amazing. Viewing angles are stable. It is bright enough in most situations. Definitely don't see this as an issue. If you quickly check that, the lowest brightness actually is super dim, as you can see. It definitely should be good enough for night use, and it is with 1% definitely bright enough. I personally used it at about 30, no, it was 40% usually. 50 would have been nicer, but 40 was actually all the time already nice enough. So I absolutely love the display, good enough for that. So now let's get into the sound. Let me quickly launch a sound demo here. Where is it? Here it is. The speakers are what I would like to call solid, absolutely solid, because they are top firing, which is maybe not the best solution, but therefore at least you can block them. If it would be on the side, at some point you would block them, so that is fine. Maximum volume for a tablet, absolutely okay. I would say it's a little bit weaker in terms of maximum loudness than, for example, the iPad Air 2. Which sounds odd since it is a bigger tablet, but that is totally fine since the iPad 2 is very loud. It's not quite as rich and not quite as clear, but the sound, like I said, is solid. Not really any complaints. There is a little bit of bass. The mids are solid. The highs could be a little bit clearer sometimes, and it sounds ever so slightly tinny, but overall still absolutely satisfying. Don't see this as an issue for a 12.5 or 12-inch tablet. This works fine, and I had already laptops that had a weaker speaker. That is fine. Headphone jack is absolutely normal, no problems here, all good. Now, let's talk about the performance then. And the first thing I want to show off are the SSD speeds, because absolutely top. As you can see, 550 of reads and almost 500 in terms of write speeds. They actually did split up their SSD, because this is the 256GB version, in two parts. There is a smaller 80GB one, and then also the rest is for data. I'm not quite sure why they did that, but that is fine. The great thing here though is the M5 performs absolutely flawless. As you can see, the scrolling in the browser is absolutely flawless, super smooth. Rendering times are great, and I still think the M5, the Core M5, is definitely on par with a Core i5 when it comes to day-to-day use, because as you can see here, even Firefox, which is usually a very resource-intensive, power-hungry device or browser, works great. Of course, universal apps and all that will work out fine. Edge as well, that is no problem. Once we talk a little bit about something else, it would be the performance, because if you check the temps here, you will see one thing. They usually stay at around 50-55 degrees, and therefore you can also see that it clocked a little bit down, because you had the boost of, I think, about 2.4 GHz, which it holds for a few seconds, which is normally for the Core M, and then it goes down to 1.8, which it should hold. But once you reach the 55 or go a little bit first over it, you will see that it clocks down to 1.2. And once again here even lower. So 1.15 was, I think, the pretty much lowest, and it then stays usually at around 1.3, 1.4 gigahertz, going down to 1.2 to keep the 50 to 55 degrees, which is, in my opinion, a good solution, because in your hands it definitely doesn't get warm. It gets a little bit warm, of course, on the back, but definitely always comfortable in your hands so you won't burn yourself. And I don't think you will use full heavy load in your hands anyways, because then you will have it with the keyboard dock or something like that, and then it is fine. I don't think this device is meant for content creation. It is great for office work, browsing, multimedia consumption. For all that, the M5 is pretty much best suited for, because it delivers a great performance since it can boost up, but it doesn't have the resources or long enough to be something like a video rendering machine. You could do it, but then of course it will throttle down to 1.2 gigahertz just to keep its temperatures low. And I think they made the compromise to have it a little bit of a lower clocked device, but therefore just not having too warm, because it's not planned to be. Because as you can see, it's so thin and it's such a stylish device that I don't think you will render videos all the time with this. Everything else works out fine. For gaming, it's also not that suited, because the core M5 just isn't all that well suited for playing. You can play some older games and maybe some Universal games from the store, but anything else, just not necessary, I would say. So I am pleased with the performance, absolutely, for my needs, for a normal user. Once we go into content creation, just look for something else, because therefore it's just not planned for. But the rest, absolutely top. Heat, noise, absolutely top, because it doesn't produce any noise. And once we talk about the battery, full charge takes about 2 hours. I don't have the specific numbers for some reason, I lost them, but 2 hours is absolutely fine. It uses a standard, pretty much like phone charger, which is great to see, so you don't have anything bulky on you. And the battery life is, I would say, just about acceptable. Okay, I would say, because I used it with 40% brightness, which was absolutely fine for me. 50 was already too bright, but 30% for some reason seemed a lot more dull than 40%, so I stayed with 40, and then I reached usually an average of 4 hours of use of screen on time, because sometimes I think the best value was like 4.5, and once I was a little bit lower than 4. So I would say I would get an average of 4, but you should get maybe even an hour more, because for some reason, maybe due to the higher brightness and different load that I put on it, I seem to drain devices a lot quicker than anyone else. So that's it in terms of software. And now I think it's time to show off the actual stylus. Here we have it. We can use this. And this is not for me. I can't even draw that well. Oh no, I did actually do that. Okay, let's erase that and check it. As you can see here, it works out really nice. We have, of course, different here options, and there are a lot of different apps that support it as well. As you can see, if you press lightly, it will do this, and if you press harder, it will accept that. It works all the way to the edges, as you can see here. This is absolutely no problem. Let's use something a little bit thinner so you can see that. Works out absolutely precise. It has palm rejection. It worked out really, really nice. Precise, has nice in the hand feel. Of course, you can also erase stuff. As you can see with the first button, you can make things erase. I'm not actually quite sure what the second button does. Didn't really find that out. Here we also have a laser pointer, as you can see here, and it gets actually charged via micro USB. A little bit odd that it's not actually USB Type-C, but that's the way it works. Absolutely fine. It is very precise, so you can draw nice things if you want to. And that's good enough, I would say. So the stylus does a good job. Actually like it. Can't really complain at all. So let's get to the verdict, and let me show you the pros and cons. And there are quite a lot on both sides, but the ones on the negative side aren't that big, because bezel's almost too small. Actually, that's not really a con. Portfolio keyboard in general, yeah, that's just my main gripe. If you want to use this as a convertible, I don't think this is the best solution. They definitely should work on something else, because Samsung, with its kind of first attempt on creating a convertible with Tab Pro S, did kind of the same mistake. This is something that is just not the right solution. It is one of the best Windows tablets that I've used as a tablet. Once you want to use it as a convertible, my opinion changes a little bit, because the mechanism on its own, the keyboard on its own in general, aren't making me all that happy. And yeah, and I have to quickly check that actually once again. Wonky stand function, as I said, no chiclet keyboard, minor downclocking load, and the battery life inexpensive. Yeah, that would have been it, but therefore you get a lot of highlights like gorgeous tablet, build quality is superb, the display is absolutely gorgeous, the sound is absolutely solid, performance in day-to-day use absolutely top-notch. So the qualities are there, but it's expensive. You have to check that for your own. If you want one of the most stylish Windows tablets and know what you get into, then I think it's definitely a great buy. But I have to just say at the end, it is quite expensive, because for this price you can, or even lower, you can get already proper i5 and i7 convertibles, like for example the Acer Switch 12 Alpha that I reviewed. So I would say check that, and that would have pretty much it. If you have any more questions or something like that, if I've got to mention something, just leave that down in the comments below. If you liked this video, it was a little bit not that well walked through, but I am a little bit burnt out, so I hope you can understand that. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more, and I wish you a nice day. Okay, until next time, bye.